Alright, g'day, IB Psychologist. If you want to do well on your exam, you have to know the topics that are going to appear in the exam question. Now, one of the first things you have to do is write down the list of topics that could appear. It can be a little bit tricky, however, so what I've done in this blog post, which I'll put a link in the description, is I've taken all the topics and I've written them out for you. So you can easily, as well, download it here just by clicking there. You'll be able to download this Word document. We have 4 different options: abnormal, human relationships, developmental, health. Remember, standard level, you will write one essay in 1 hour for paper 2 based on one option, right? 1. High level students, you will choose 2 options and you'll write 2 essays. Now, the options you'll choose will be, of course, dictated by your teacher in the course that you are taking. So these are all the possible options topics. Now, in the next video, I'm going to explain some tips about how to answer paper 2 and which topics I would recommend studying for the exam. But here we can see these are all the possible topics that you need to know. Right, just a quick tip, just to remind you, one of the most important things to know is in the exam, you're going to have one question based on each topic. Therefore, you only have to study one topic. So if I go back to my list of topics here, each option has 3 topics. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, each option has 3 topics. In paper 2, there are 3 essay questions. There'll be one for each topic / content point, right? So there'll be one essay question about this material here, factors influencing diagnosis or any of these sub-content points, one about etiology, one about treatment. Now, you only write out one essay. That means you only have to choose one topic. Now, that's so important to know. Now, you'll see when you start writing down all of the possible exam topics, and I've given an example in this blog post, again, the link in the description, you'll see it actually adds up quite a lot. So, for example, if I'm doing etiologies of abnormal psychology, really that should say etiology of psychological disorders, and you have to do one example, or one or more, but I would choose one. We have these 2 content points: explanation, prevalence. So now you might just think, explanation for disorders is etiology of abnormal psychology. That's the same thing. So you go, I actually only have to explain why people get a psychological disorder and explain prevalence rates and differences across groups for the prevalence. Like, you go, that's easy. There's only 2 possible exam questions they might ask. All right, not so fast. Actually, they could ask about one of the 3 approaches in relation to that particular topic. So we have to add the biological, cognitive, social, cultural approach. And in fact, you might have to ask about 2. They might say, discuss the biological approach and the cognitive approach in relation to the etiologies of abnormal psychology. Again, also in relation to the topic, they might ask you about research methods. They might ask you about ethical considerations. So if we take just that one topic that doesn't look like much content, when we add those 3 approaches and the methods and the ethics, there's actually a lot of possible exam questions and a lot of challenging exam questions that could be asked there. Now, when they've only given us 20 hours in the course to cover all of this material, and we're going to do the 3 approaches in relation to all of these 3, it's way too much. So that's why I strongly recommend, when it comes to revising for the exams, and teachers, when it comes to teaching for the exams, choose one of these to teach in depth that students will write about for the exam. Now, I still, even though I teach abnormal psychology, I still cover all 3 topics. However, I know I'm not teaching treatment in the depth that it's needed to do well on the exam because there's way too much and I don't have the time. Factors influencing diagnosis, I'm teaching the concepts, but we don't really look at too many studies. I just want them to understand the concepts. Again, we're really focusing on this. So that's my approach for teachers and for students. Pop a comment if you disagree, but when we start looking at all the different exam questions, they start adding up. In the next video, I'm going to give you some tips about which of these topics do I recommend for all 4 options.